As I promised you, today we're going to have a conversation with Dino Martin, the guy from our book that Teacher Gu talked to you. And remember that Teacher Gu said he helps saving the bees, and the bees are one of the most important animals. So he's going to talk a little bit about that, about pollination, about the other pollinators, okay? Dino Martin is the executive director of Impala Research Center. He can talk a little bit about that too. Okay, so I think he can start talking to us and talk a little bit about himself. And if you have questions, just raise your hand and Teacher Gu will let you ask the questions, okay? So now I'm gonna mute my microphone too and ask him to start. Okay, Junior Chu? Just a second, Lily. So let's start.
Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm Dino. I'm here at Impala. Impala is in Kenya, so it's far away from Brazil, but also it's a beautiful day over here as well. It's the afternoon, so we're 6 hours ahead of you in Brazil. I'm an entomologist. I study insects, and I started studying insects when I was your age, when I was young like you. And I love insects very much. I love bees, and so I look forward to answering your questions and learning more about what it is you think about bees as well. Thanks.
How often do you get sting and if hurts?
So I'm very lucky that I don't get stung very often. I'm careful when I catch bees. I have a net and I don't touch them with my fingers. I use a jar to look at them. But the other thing is many of the bees some of the bees we study are stingless bees. And we have stingless bees in South America, in Brazil. We also have stingless bees here in Kenya. So we're lucky not to get stung very often. And lots of the other pollinators we study, like butterflies and moths and other species of beetles and other insects, they don't sting, so we can look at them without getting stung.
Very good.
How can we recognize a queen bee?
Thank you, Lorena. How do we recognize a queen bee? Well, the queen bee, which are in a colony of honeybees. So there are many different kinds of bees. Bees are over 20,000 different kinds in the whole world, which is a lot of different bees. And not all of them have queens. Only the ones that live in families, in groups, have a queen. So species like the honeybee and some of the stingless bees. We can recognize the queen because she's bigger. She's bigger than other bees. If you look inside the hive, you'll see that the queen is bigger. She also moves more slowly, and she's often surrounded by other bees who look after her, who are always checking to make sure that she's okay, that she has some food, that she's taken care of.
Thank you. Lily.
You like bees since you were a kid?
If he likes bees since he was a kid?
Yes.
If you like bees and insects since you were a kid?
Absolutely. I grew up here in Kenya in a rural area where there's a lot of wildlife, and we farming as well. And we didn't have a television, so I used to watch bees after school rather than watching television.
Ooh.
You is the director of the bee movie.
No, I'm not. I'm a scientist. I study bees, but I write about them. I draw them sometimes. Do you like drawing insects and other things?
Okay. Is it possible to grow bees at home?
Thank you. That's a very good question. Yes, you can keep bees at home, but you have to be very careful, because if you keep honeybees, they can sting. But lots of people keep bees. Here in Kenya and all over the world, people keep bees to produce honey. And they also keep bees to use for pollination. But the easier one you can keep is if you're in an area where there are stingless bees, you can keep the stingless bees and they don't sting. But the more important thing you can do is you can help support bees. You can make a bee hotel, which is a simple thing that bees can come and live in, and those bees are not going to bother you, but they're important pollinators. The other thing is you can plant some flowers that will support bees.
How many ears you have when you decide to help bees?
Thank you. That's a good question. So you asked, when did I start deciding to help bees? When I was your age, when I was young like you, I was interested in insects and I enjoyed studying them. And now, you know, I get to live here at Impala, where we're in Kenya, surrounded by wildlife and bees and many other animals, and I'm able to study them. So I've all my life now, for many years, been learning and studying about insects and other animals, and I started when I was your age. I'm going to tell, I don't know if you can see, there's a dick and a baby dick here.
Guys, look the animals.
Can you see them?
What animals are these? Are they deers?
These are little they're antelopes, which are called dictics, and they're the smallest antelope in Africa. They're very tiny. They're about the size of a cat. So they're walking by now. There's the baby and there's the mom.
Oh, that's so nice. It's a really wild place, right? Where you have different wild animals.
Lots of different animals, yeah. It's nice they came to say hello.
That's so nice.
How can I help the bees?
Thank you, Livia. That's a really nice question. You can help bees in many different ways, and other pollinators as well. So one thing you can do is you can learn about them like you are today, and then you could plant some flowers or trees that help bees, and you can also learn about which crops they pollinate, what food do you like. You know, some people like to eat chocolate. Do you like chocolates? Yeah, so chocolate comes from cacao. Cacao is a plant that actually comes from South America. And there's many different kinds, and that is also pollinated, not by bees, but by small insects called midges. So,
how is it to explore the world?
Thank you for your question. You said how easy it is to explore the world. It's very easy, and you can start by doing what you're doing, by studying, by learning in school, by talking to your teachers and asking questions. And then you can read in books, but you can also go outside and look at things around your school, around your home. When it's possible to do so, you can travel to see a park or visit a museum. So there's lots of things you can do to explore. If you want to look at insects and birds and other animals, all you need is to just be patient, to learn to be quiet, to sit quietly and watch them, to spend the time outside, to look around, to see flowers and see what's going on, visit a farm maybe as well. And so you can all do that. There's something that it's a lot of fun, and it's very easy to do.
How long does a bee live?
How long does a bee live? That's a great question.
Oh, that's a
people.
good question.
So a bee lives, it depends what kind of bee they are. So some bees can live for a few weeks or a few months. Those are usually the worker bees. They don't live as long as a queen bee who can live for much longer. She could live for 1 or 2 years. Those are for honeybees. Some of the other bees that live up in Kenya or live in the forests, they could live longer. But remember, the bee has a life cycle. So its life is not just when it's an adult bee and it's around flying or feeding. We have to include in its life the time it's an egg, the time it's a larva when it's feeding or being fed by its parents or the other worker bees or the queen bee, and the time it's a pupa. So bees have 4 stages to their life. And if we take all 4 of those stages, bees usually can live from a few months to up to a year or 2, not longer than that.
What's your favorite bee?
That's a great question. What's my favorite bee? Well, Marina, I'm not sure I have a favorite bee. There's so many different kinds, and I like watching all of them. Now, obviously, the honeybees, we like them because they produce honey, which is nice to eat. It's tasty. But I also like, there's a group of bees called Amegilla, which are very pretty bees that are very important pollinators. So I like those bees as well.
Dino Martin, how can I become an explorer?
Oh, wonderful. How can you become an explorer? Well, everybody can be an explorer, and you should definitely think about becoming an explorer. You can do that first by asking questions and learning and talking to your teachers and reading books and watching movies and documentaries about the world. But more importantly, you can become an explorer by going outside and starting to look at things and learn about them, make notes, draw them. If you want to, take some pictures and start keeping records about what you see around you and what you learn. And that's how you become an explorer, is by being curious, which you're doing now very well.
Dino Martin, how do you feel when you start to explore a new place?
How do I feel when I start to explore a new place? Thank you, Stella. That's a great question. I feel very good. I feel excited. I'm very curious. I want to see what's there, and I want to take a lot of photographs, and I want to make notes in my notebook. I will sometimes have my, maybe some friends with me or some students with me. So I feel very happy, and I feel very lucky when I get to go somewhere and explore. Whether it's going just into my garden, or it's climbing a mountain, or it's going to a forest, all of these different places, we can learn new things when we go there.
Dino Martins, on my house has a beehive on my tree, and the bees, some days they go to get pollen, and I watch the bees.
That's very good. So it's nice that you have a beehive in a tree, and you can watch them and see what they're doing, and you can see what times of day are they active. Are they more active in the morning or in the afternoon or at night? Do they sleep? When do they wake up? You can ask a lot of questions and watch what they are doing.
You like the big bees? You like the small bees?
Do I like big bees or small bees? Well, all of them are important and all of them are different. Some of the biggest bee in the world is about that big. It's about sort of 3 to 4 inches or about 10 centimeters long. The smallest bees are 1 millimeter long or very, very tiny. So that bees have a lot of different shapes and sizes. So all of them are important and all of them are interesting. For some of the very small bees, we have to look through the microscope in order to see them properly. We have a microscope and we catch them and we look at them under the microscope. Then we can study them properly.
Dino Martins, how many kinds of bees are in the world?
How many kinds of bees? That's a great question. There are at least 20,000 different kinds of bees. And here in Kenya, we have about 1,000 different species. And in Brazil, you also have about 1,000 different species of bees.
Dino, and we focused on bees, but there are other pollinators, right? Can you just explain a little bit about the other pollinators, their importance and everything? Just a little bit, please.
All right. So these are, I don't know if you can see these. These are a few of the different kinds of insects we have that are pollinators. And we have butterflies and moths. There's a butterfly. That's a moth. These two moths are called hawk moths, and they fly. They can fly very, very fast, and they have a long tongue. You see the tongue of the moth? In addition to that, we also have beetles up here, and we have others. These are all different kinds of bees. So there's many, many different kinds of insects that serve as pollinators. For example, we have flies, we have butterflies and moths, we have things like cacao. Cocoa is pollinated by midges, by small flies. And then papaya is pollinated by hawk moths, this insect over here. So can you see them?
Can you see them, guys? Yes. Perfect.
All right, I'll put them here.
How can I get a bee with my hand and don't be stinged?
How can you catch a bee with your hand and not be stung by it? Well, you have to be very careful, and it's best not to pick them up with your hands. If you want to observe them, you can just watch them without catching them. Or if you have a net or a jar, you can catch them and carefully look at them. Now, with bees, it's very interesting because only female bees can sting. Male bees can't sting. So if you're sure that the bee you're looking at is a male, is a boy, you can catch it because they are not able to sting. But females, all female bees and wasps can sting, and you shouldn't handle them with your hands.
Hi, Dino. It's a pleasure to have you here with our students. It's an honor to have you here. And I think that they are very happy because it's something that they are studying about, and we can feel that they are really interested. We are so honored to have this opportunity, and I hope that we can have you here again.
Thank you so much. And yes, no, it's a great honor for me to be able to respond to your question. It's so wonderful with technology. You know, I can speak to you in Brazil from here in Kenya, and what some other time we might do a field trip. We do field trips sometimes, and we have different animals, including Dudu here, who helps lead the field trips. Dudu, say hi to everybody in Brazil.
They will love that. Everybody's going to come with the dog and say hello with that, right? And it's easy. Now we can see that everybody's connected, right? Not so far and not so close. That's the way the environment is. And it's a pleasure for us, and especially for our students. It's an unavailable opportunity for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And some point, if you want to, we have a live cam here at Impala. You can watch the animals, and I will send you the link. Every day it broadcasts all the different animals moving around. You can watch them. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. It will be a pleasure for us.